Okay, hello everyone. It's Sean Doyle from OptixEQ, and I'm here with Donald Harris. We're going to look at Holy Bull at Gulfstream, video analysis of the race. I'm excited to get in. Before we do that, I just want to let everyone know that we have this special for Santa Anita on Saturday. If you go to the website, upper left-hand corner, click Learn More, you get the focus report, a full card focus report done by Emily Gullickson. So she goes through all the races. And the first few pages just kind of tell you what the fields mean, and then we get right into it. And she has fair line odds for all the horses for all the races. So really great offer, free. So have at it. Okay, Donald, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little rusty when it comes to my broadcasting skills. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I heard free, and free is me. How could you pass it up? So
there you can't. So Donald does optics notes or Gulfstream, so we thought we'd bring him in for the championship meet. So we thought of bring him in, and he's watched a lot of these horses. He also watches them train, right? Your role as a clocker there, and I think some of they've kind of works in two different locations. So I think he's got some video exposure to the other. I guess it's what's the two facility, Donald?
I'm at Palmettos, and then there's Palm Beach Downs where Pletcher's located and a few other trainers, and then there's also Payson. So there's a few training centers that horses will show up from in Florida.
So we're going to tackle the Holy Bull. I'm just going to quickly look at the plot. I mean, and then maybe we'll bounce back and forth, but I would think we go horse by horse and just evaluate all the horses in the race. Because it's important as we start looking at these horses as potential Kentucky Derby contenders. The plot to me, Donald, looks like, we got a plot for the yellow, kind of average contention, average speed rating. I guess the winner could come from anywhere. To me, it looks like a couple of the quadrant one runners look pretty good, like the 5 and the 8. They kind of look the best, at least just from a quick visual. So I think what we'll probably do is just jump into the grid and just let's evaluate these horses one at a time, okay? Okay, we're going to start with the number 1 Galt, and this horse is a recent maiden winner. And the one thing I noticed about this horse, Donald, you did the notes both times. You had this horse as a stretch in his debut, after his debut, and then you had a stretch again after he ran a mile and the 16th. So I'm thinking you think this horse maybe has some potential at longer distances. You gave him a big B+ in his maiden win. What was the thinking there?
Yeah, no, I had the chance to watch him at Saratoga before his debut, and he kind of stood out to me physically. He had kind of a classic distance look to him. The one thing I would say, he's got kind of a higher action, which is why I actually labeled turf initially. I was thinking they would eventually try grass. That's still in the back of my mind. That might be what he wants. But I do believe that he is kind of a classic distance type. Now, off his last race, there's so much to prove, just because if you go to the speed ratings on Optix, the quadrants are very slow, and then very fast. It's going to be a different pace scenario, and being able to finish off of those kind of fractions and then being asked to finish against classier competition when the pace is sped up, he clearly has something to prove there. But I think the ability's there. I really do. So he's one of those horses I would look at in terms of the exotics. A win is probably a little bit of a stretch, but the fact that I believe he'll be finishing, try supers, he could offer a little bit of value. Right. Because the numbers, I'm assuming the numbers people are just going to toss him, because I don't believe that race came back very fast that he won. And a lot of times that we got a
91, so we had it pretty good, actually, 91. Okay. I mean, it's not in today's range, but it's still a big improvement. So, yeah.
Right. So it'll, you kind of have to let the price dictate your actions in all things. And so for me, it's kind of a try super horse. A win, I feel, would be a surprise.
I agree. I can't really add anything to that, so I'm going to move on. And to Mow Down. Now, this horse, I thought, I kind of do the notes in New York, and I just seen this horse as a kind of a classic horse right from the get-go. And the Remsen, I thought was a good race. He kind of battled with that Chad Brown horse. Just seems like a distance horse. I'm just a little concerned about trying the new track and kind of the pace scenario in the distance. Not to say this horse can't overcome it, but I just think that this may not be, this may be more of a prep for him. I'm kind of looking at it as more than, he's got to win this race.
Right. He strikes me as kind of a grindy, plotty type initially. And so that would mean that he would need a pace scenario to kind of fall into his lap. At least that's how I'm visualizing it. And the couple drills I saw on XB, that's kind of how he worked. He threw him in company with Colonel Liam, that grade 1 turf horse, trying to put some speed into him. And he also worked with a sprinter called My Prankster, who's just won and ran a 109. So it's clear they're trying to get a little pace into him right now. And I agree with you. I think there's a bigger picture in mind here.
Yeah. I had it in the second race. I actually kind of labeled him marathon, kind of a classic distance horse right off the bat. So it looks like he's following suit. So, I mean, he's another horse that obviously could factor, but it just from the win end, I think he's going to be undervalued is my guess. The number 3, Eloquist. I don't know. You have anything on this horse, Donald? What's your thoughts?
I mean, it just strikes me as too slow right now. I don't like the fact that he's clearly got some gait issues. He's breaking slow, 3 out of his 5 races. And if he does that again, he's going to find himself out of the mix. And he hasn't shown he has that kind of kick to make up those mistakes. So he would be a pass for me.
Yeah. Notice that his regular rider from, I guess, Philadelphia Parks comes in to ride him. That's kind of interesting rider change there. But I agree with you. But again, he's a horse that I think is a router, though. That's what, like when you start seeing some of these horses, especially when they're making a transition from 2 to 3, some of them are really 1-turn kind of horses. But I think he is a 2-turn horse, though. That would be just, I think class-wise, he doesn't, kind of match up yet. Okay, Simplification. What's your thoughts on this guy? I mean, ran a big race in the Mucho Macho. I see you gave him a B+. So
yeah, I really like this horse. I really like this horse. I like his build. He's built like the real thing. Now, in my mind, he might end up being best at 1 mile, kind of a 1-turn type. But I think you'd agree, John, Gulfstream Park allows these kind of horses, if they get their trip on the lead, which I think he's going straight to the lead, he will prove super dangerous. I don't see him. I think think of him in terms of a Derby horse. I don't know if that's what he's going to be best at. But in this race, I think his pace and the fact that he's sharp, he's proven he loves this racetrack, which is huge. Very dangerous.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, it's just kind of a pattern with him. Again, he runs a 78. His debut, then he runs a big race, and then he kind of regresses back to a 74. Then he runs another big race. I'm just concerned, is there going to be another regression effort after the Mucho Macho, which looked like a big effort? So that's a concern I have with him. I just wonder if he kind of regresses again off that big effort, unless you have something like it.
Maybe the change in spacing, a little bit of change in spacing in those races that might help a tiny bit, but I can't argue. I can't argue with what you're saying. He hasn't proven that he can string 2 together yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one to watch. It's just, what are you willing to take as a price? And I think, again, on the pace scenario, I just want to flip back to the plot. He's going to be forward. It looks like the 8 might be another horse that could push him a little bit. So interesting to see when we get down to number 8. Number 5, Cajun's Magic. This horse is coming off a little bit of a layoff after running a really big effort in one of those, those Florida kind of races. So what do you think about this guy?
I'm not familiar enough with him. My initial gut instinct is I'm skipping him. I'm not going to use him. I don't think he's fast enough. He's coming out of races that just aren't the same quality as he's going to face today. But again, I'm kind of speaking a little bit out of turn because I'm not that familiar with the races he's coming out of, because he, was during most of his stuff was at Gulfstream during the summer. So. Yeah.
So, with the big figure that come back on that, I mean, that race was, I don't know how it, it looked like to me, though, I mean, if you look at that figure, it was huge. But if you look at the Optics fig range going into that race was 62 to 68. So, I mean, today's fig range is 97 to 103. So, to your point, I think it's a class issue with this horse, right? Does he compete at this level right now off the 133-day layoff? I'm with you. I'm kind of taking a stand against that horse. And the next one is Tis the Bomb, who was ran big in the Breeders' Cup, but that was on turf. Interesting to see. I guess they're going to take their shot on dirt. He ran his first 2 races on dirt. You know, second race was pretty good when they stretched him out. Obviously got class with turf. What do you think about the switch back to the dirt for McPeak in this race?
You know, I go with what you said. It just feels like they're taking a shot, and maybe it almost feels like a test drive. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to use them, but it's just because I don't have a strong feel for what they're trying to do here, and I don't know the horse in the morning, so there's not a lot to go off of for me.
Yeah, the other thing I'm not crazy about with this horse is that he looks like he's a closer, and I'm not sure that this race kind of sets up for that anyway. First time on Gulfstream surface is a problem too for me. I mean, some horses adapt to it, some horses just don't. And kind of a deep turf closer. I'm just kind of a deep, right, mid pack to deep closer. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's interesting the fact that he broke his maiden going straight to the lead on dirt.
Yeah.
And then they go to turf, and he ends up finishing second in the Breeders' Cup. So.
Yeah. Those Ellis Park horses fly under the radar too. Spin Wheels number 7. I don't like this horse. That Churchill race came back really soft. I mean, 13 horses have run since that race. None of them won, and only 2 finished in the money. So that looked like a soft race. Even that 87, which could be dressed up, and he's got a long way to go if he wants to beat some of these.
Yeah, no, it's actually, I need to make a change there, because those are my notes, and there's an argument there that should have been set up. I put Flow, but that race fell apart, and I think he's going to end up being a turf horse from what I've seen, because I've watched him in the mornings at Palmettos, and just he has turfy vibes to me. So he's a pass in this race.
He ran pretty well in his debut on the turf. It looked like he was a little ranking against the flow, but that was a pretty good debut effort on the turf. So maybe the turf for Spin Wheel, not the Holy Bull. Okay, what about this 8, Donald? I find this horse interesting. In fact, I was kind of leaning on this horse a little bit. When we talk about speed horses, I think this horse could set a pretty decent trip, either on or off, just off the lead behind that 4 horse. And I think he's got, obviously, I mean, his first 2 races were pretty good. I mean, B pluses at Gulfstream. He did have an easy lead in the second race, but he ran okay, 3rd in that Kentucky Juvenile, I think it's Jockey Club or whatever, Juvenile Club, whatever it is. But that race is a pretty good race typically, and the horse that won the LeCompte came out of that race, and also the horse that finished, I think, 3rd in the Southwest. So that race had some quality to it. What do you think about this guy?
Yeah, I can't argue with anyone who likes the trip that this guy's probably going to get. Because the thing that jumps out to me is he's got the necessary tactical speed for the Gulfstream Park surface. I'm seeing legitimate sprinters. His classic State of Mind, who he aired on in his debut, he's not a quality horse, but he's really fast. Strike Hard, who he beat, comes back and wins. And Classic Causeway is a nice Lynch horse who I've been watching train at Palmettos. And so I think his tactical speed you can't ignore. He should get a trip, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like I say, he's got that experience over the track, which is a good thing. I think he can just sit out there and figure out what's going to go on inside of him, and probably sit a pretty good stalking trip. So I like this one. I think he's 6-1 in the morning line. You're probably going to get all of that, I would imagine, because I think some more action will go on the 2 than some others in here. Giant Game ran big in the juvenile, right? I mean, he ran a solid third, nothing but improving numbers from him. You know, I just, he's off a 3-month layoff, and the only thing I worry about with Romans is he kind of takes his time, and he doesn't have his best horses run the best at Gulfstream meet. He seems to be targets like Churchill and so forth. So that would be my concern: the layoff and the lack of Gulfstream experience, and the fact that they'll kind of point to this meet is my concern. But what's your thought?
I agree. Interesting note here is Toby Terrell, my business partner out in Cali. He loved this horse going into Breeders' Cup. We gave him an A-, which is a very rare workout grade. So he was doing amazing going into that race. And I agree with you, John. I think this is a horse to follow regardless of how he runs. I don't think they're going to have him cranked. I think this purely, I feel it's a prep deal. And most of these Breeders' Cup horses that return, they're always undervalued. You're not going to get value on a Breeders' Cup horse just in general with those running lines. So for me, if he wins, I'll tip my cap, but I'm not going to use him. I'm thinking they're thinking of things down the line.
Yeah. So I think what we have in this race, Donald, is we have like a lot of decent horses that could be potential horses down the road, but may not fire the best shot this Saturday. And so, I'd be looking for value on probably the lesser names of these horses. And for me, the 4 and 8 look pretty good.
I was just going to say that after you discussing the 8, I was on the 4, but I think the 4-8 they should trip out. And then, as mentioned, for those that just like playing the exotics, I do think the 1 is going to be a big enough price to use in the bottom slots at a decent number.
Cool. The other horse, I mean, I know you don't like that. The one thing I did note, let me go to here. I wonder if you had any insight into that on that number 5, who looks like he plots really well. He's coming out of cheaper races. The one thing I noticed is just his raw workouts look pretty good. I mean, he's coming off a layoff. Did you get to see this horse train at all, or no?
I punched him up on XB, but I didn't see anything up there, so I couldn't make a comment on him. But in general, a horse like that who has natural speed, they're going to look good doing those half miles and 5 furlongs because it comes to them easy. Yeah.
So if they do go fast, though, sometimes those horses could suck up into a trip too, and not for the win, but maybe like you said, for like underneath. So I put that out there. Just take a look at that horse too, just for maybe 3rd or 4th or something like that. So I think that's it for the Holy Bull, Donald. I think we've got it. We're kind of 4-8 tripping out. And some horses to watch going forward would be the 1, 2, and the 9, right? Those are the horses that we think have maybe a future beyond the Holy Bull.
Agreed.
Right? Okay, great. Thanks for joining us, Donald. Appreciate it, and look forward to the next Gulfstream race when we go our road to the Kentucky Derby. Join us at OptixEQ.com and just check this YouTube video channel if you want to see more of this stuff. Thanks.